Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel once again. So it's the month of October, so I'm going to show you three different ways to draw marigold flower. All these three are very simple and easy to follow, and I'm going to explain you everything in detail step by step. So let's start with the first version of the flower. And we are also going to focus on different perspective as well. So let's try two different perspective for the first version. So first one is the simple perspective, so I have created a round, and second perspective is more tilted towards left side and side perspective, so you can create an oval. Likewise, you can create oval shape in different angle and direction to create different perspective of flower. Although I'm going to show you only these two version, tilted towards left and the center. So in this one, because this one is the side perspective, I have created the base of the flower, the green structure of the flower, which we can see in the marigold. And you can create stems, and you can also create flower birds as well. So maybe we can try one flower bird instead of flower here. So what you need to do is you can create a circle, a small circle inside the circle in the center. And in this one you can create an oval shape mostly towards outward direction, not at the base. And for the petals you can create some random structure like this. So these are smaller in size and having little wavy pattern around the edges. Now this is the basic guideline. Now we can start with the petals. So for the center part you need to create small spikes throughout every direction. So we need to fill this smaller circle with smaller spike in it to make it look like these are small petals in the center. And then for the outer area you can start creating petals. So first few layers you can create petals little smaller in size. Maybe 2 layer you can keep smaller in size. And then as you are moving towards outward direction you can start creating bigger petals. Likewise, you can create more bigger flower in shape, and you can start creating bigger petals. And the arrangement of the petals are something like you are creating one petal in between two. So something like this you will get at the end, and you can repeat this particular step throughout. And we need to do the same thing for second perspective as well. So again, create a small spike in the smaller oval shape, and then you can start creating smaller petals. As we don't have much space towards upward direction, so we are not doing anything there, and we are creating petals in the lower direction until the circumference of the circle. So you will get different perspective because of the center part of the flower, as you can see. And likewise you can create different perspective as well, so I'm not going to show you that for now. And you can create the base of the flower. You can do little bit shading and detailing around it. So I am creating more lines at the base to make it little darker, and you can use different approach of sketching process to beautify this particular stuff. So you can do cross hatching, you can do contouring, you can do cross contouring. These things you can definitely apply to beautify your stuff. Although I'm not going to explain those things in this particular video, I have already created a separate video wherein you can learn different technique of sketching process. Now let's create one flower bird. So you can create a small base and then a U kind of shape and make it a little darker, creating more line and pattern into it. You can do some cross hatching as well if needed. And then you can create small petals. Either you can keep it like this, the closed bud, or else you can keep small petals to make it look like this is about to bloom. And we are done with the flowers. Now what extra you can do is you can make some highlighted point. So I'm making the corners of the petals little darker. So whenever you see a small corner in between two petals, you can make it little darker, and then you can create lines around the petal area. So that is something you can do to enhance it. Otherwise we are okay with the basic structure as well. and then you can drop all the unwanted pencil mark and we can create leaf. The marigold leaves are very simple. You just need to create a middle string and then divide into multiple substring. The base substring is little bigger, and as you are moving towards upward direction you can keep the length little smaller, and then with the help of pen you can start creating small leaf around every substring that you have, but the edges are little wavy in structure. So something like this you can do for all the leaves that you have. Now you can keep the direction of leaves little bit tilted towards upward direction, downward direction, side, left, right, whatever combination you want. You can create your own composition obviously, and you can refer to Google as well just to get an idea how you can compose these kind of flowers. Although I'm not using any reference point to draw these flowers. So we are done with the first version. Now let's start with the second version. So again we are going to create a basic guideline. So we need to think about perspective. So again I'm creating two different perspective. First one is side perspective, again tilted towards left side. You can keep right side as well, and one normal perspective, so you can create a round shape. I think there are varieties of marigold available, but I only know these three. If you know anything apart from these three, you can definitely let me know. So first you can think about where you want to keep your leaves, where you want to keep your flowers, what kind of perspective you needed. So those things you can draw with the help of pencil. Now in the first perspective, this one is the side perspective, divide this into two, and in this one you can create bigger circle, smaller than previous one, and in the center, because this one is the normal perspective, like facing towards you. Now with the help of pen directly I'm doing petals. You can definitely use pencil and then you can trace everything with the help of pen, but to expedite the process I'm directly using pen. You can create small petals around the upper section of the flower to make it look like we have different kind of petals having different kind of composition all together, and make it little bushier. So you can create a little bigger spikes in the upward section, and in the downward direction you can create similar kind of petal what we did in the first one, but this time little bigger in size and having less layers of petals into it. So in this one we are keeping the layers little lesser, and we are creating two different kind of petals all together. And then you can highlight couple of points like we did in the first one. So you can have little bolded pattern in the upward section wherein we have kept smaller petals, and you can make it little bold and little darker, and around the corner as well you can do the same thing, and you can create couple of lines around the petal area. Now we need to repeat the same thing what we did in this one for the second perspective as well. The only difference is the perspective. So again you can create small petals in the center but little bigger in size, and then you can create a layer of bigger petals around it. So no difference, repeating the same stuff, but the perspective is different, so the placement of petals is different. So first you can create something like this, smaller spike, make it little bushier, and then create a layer of bigger petals. So again I'm not keeping too much layering, I have kept only two layers, first little smaller and then little bigger behind it. In fact you can keep only one layer of bigger petal little closer, so that is also fine, that you can consider it as fourth version. And then trace everything quickly like stems. You can create leaves as well, and do not forget to add little highlighted area around the corner like we did in the previous flowers as well. So highlight the corner, you can create couple of lines into the petal area. So these things are just to beautify this stuff a little bit. If you are only interested in painting, you don't have to do these kind of things, because you are going to consider these things with the help of watercolor itself. So in the next video I'm going to show you how we can paint these flowers using watercolor. because sometimes drawing looks easy but we are not able to think how we can paint it. So in the next video I'm going to show you how we can paint these kind of flowers with some simple steps. So let's create the leaf like we did in the first one. I'm exactly repeating the same thing, creating the string, substring, and creating leaves around the substring, having little wavy pattern around the edges. You can do some cross hatching and contouring around the leaves as well to make it little darker and to get some extra shade, but I'm not concentrating on that stuff. So this one is the second version. Now let's move to the last and the third version of the marigold. This is very common across India. You can see these kind of marigold across India during festive season like Diwali and Dussehra. So let's create the basic composition first. So in this one I'm only using side perspective. So one is more tilted towards left side and another one is more tilted towards right side. Because these are side perspective, so you can create the base of the flower as well, the green structure which we see in the marigold, and then you can think about leaf as well. Now in the first two leaves we have created wavy pattern around the edges. So in this one I am creating zigzag kind of pattern. So you can do something like this as well, like having zigzag pattern around the edge of the leaf, just to add little variety in the leaf as well. So something like this also you can do. And for the base of the flower, again you can do some contouring, cross contouring, hatching, cross hatching, those kind of things. So to expedite the process I'm only using hatching and cross hatching. Hatching means creating parallel line close to each other, so the closer these lines are, the darker shade you will get. And then cross hatching means you can doing some cross line around the parallel line. I have covered these things in my previous video. If you want, I can give you a link into my description section so that you can learn about these things in detail. Now the first version we have kept the petal smaller in size. In the second one we have kept different kind of composition, bigger petals. In this one the petals are very different from first two. So in this one we are just creating some random pattern to create petal kind of shape. These kind of marigolds are very bushier and having so many petals into it. So the best way to draw is to create some random pattern like these and very close to each other. But make sure you're doing it very close to each other, one after another, and it should have some random pattern into it. And make sure you are keeping the outer area smooth so that we can see some consistency in the flower. So just create these kind of petal, this kind of random structure throughout the oval shape that we have. You can add more petals around the edge to get little symmetricity. I think this much is enough. That is what we needed. You can again highlight couple of area in between these petals so you can make things little darker like we did in the other flowers. And for the second perspective, again I'm repeating the same thing. You can do one thing, like you can start with smaller random pattern in the center, and as you are moving towards outward direction you can keep these random petal little bigger in size. So that is something you can definitely do. Otherwise it's very simple to draw. I think this one is the easiest version when it comes to the drawing. So in this one we have created a medium size petal having wavy pattern into it. In this one we have two different kind of petals, and in the last one we have created some random pattern to create petals. So we are done with all the three versions of marigold. Hope this video is helpful for you guys. Let me know which one you like the most, and thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next video.